terminamos agora com algumas das oportunidades que há na Europa, a estratégia da Europa. Vimos estes exemplos magníficos de Espanha, de Portugal, do resto do mundo, e a altura então para percebermos quais são as oportunidades em Portugal da inteligência artificial, ou seja, como podemos crescer, como podemos desenvolver, como podemos entrar e tornar-nos num exemplo como aqueles que aqui foram deixados. Por isso, a próxima convidada deste congresso da APDC é da Google, sabe muito disto que estamos aqui a falar e vem mostrar-nos quais essas oportunidades para Portugal. Ela chama-se Giorgia Abeltino. Giorgia, benvenuto a Portugal.
Bom dia a todos. And this is my Portuguese. No, there is a little bit more, but I'm not obliging you to listen to my Portuguese. Thank you very much, first of all, APDC, for this invitation. I'm very happy to be here. And I'm Giorgia Beltino. I am the Director of Government Affairs and Public Policy for Google in South Europe. But the reason why I'm here is that since 1 year and a half, I'm also coordinating the AI strategy for Google in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And I would like to start with a story that is a real story. So 1 year and a half ago, more or less, I was in Tierra del Fuego in Argentina with my mother. My mother is today 77, at the time was 75, and we were traveling together. And she asked me, among the penguins almost, why everyone is talking about AI? Why is so important? Why should I know about it? And of course, she was 75, so of course, she's selective in what is interesting and what is not. And I'm sure that this is what's happening to you at any dinner that you have, and that's why APDC decided, rightly so, to focus on AI in this conference, annual conference. Why everyone is talking about AI? And this is very clear to me. I mean, the answer, at least to me, is very clear, is that AI is the technology that can have the biggest impact on our life, so on society, and on our economy. And we heard a lot about it. So AI is solving problems, big and small, across a variety of fields. You can think about health, and we will talk about it. You can think about transportation. You can think about productivity, and we should talk about productivity, not just in Portugal, but European productivity. You can think about a lot of things. AI can really be the fastest machine for change. So my mother, of course, was not convinced because this was kind of blah, blah, blah. So I brought to her an example that I want to bring to you today, that is AlphaFold. So I don't know whether you're familiar with proteins. Proteins are the building blocks of humans, of nature, of everything. And they are fundamental in order to understand and cure disease and many other things. What is the problem with proteins? The problem with proteins is that mapping proteins is very, let's say, it requires a lot of time, it's very difficult, and has always been incredibly expensive. Until AI got into the scheme. So AlphaFold, which is developed by Google DeepMind, let's say by DeepMind, is the AI system that maps the entire protein spectrum. Today, AlphaFold has mapped 200 million proteins, that is basically almost all proteins. And it has reached, since its, let's say, creation, 4 million years of research. So we would have needed 4 million years of time for researchers to get to what AlphaFold got. And why, again, this is important? Because if you have the mapping of the proteins, then you can go much faster on the problem that affects society. Breast cancer is one of the areas that has been most touched by AlphaFold and by this. And last week, during the weekend, DeepMind also announced that today AlphaFold, that is called AlphaFold 3, can also map not just proteins, but the DNA and the RNA. This is this is folks, guys is not inclusive, completely game-changing. And I give you an example of how this is used. For instance, in the University of Portsmouth, AlphaFold is accelerating the research into plastic-eating enzymes, basically enzymes that can reduce plastic to completely recyclable material. You can imagine what is the impact that this can have on the environment. So my mother was convinced. I didn't have this example at the time, but I had the example of breast cancer, and I'm pretty sure that everyone here and the people that are following us are convinced that AI is important because of the opportunities, and we heard it from our speakers and our friends before. But AI is also incredibly helpful in everyday life. That's why Google decided years ago to really switch its strategy and to focus on AI. Why? Because this can make products that are helpful for everyone. And here I have some of the most important moments, let's say, in the history of Google and AI that really mark a change. The first one has been in 2017, where there was a paper that was published that was about a transformer. If you know about ChatGPT, we also talk about competitors, the T of ChatGPT is about transformers. So this is a paper that basically opens the door to generative AI. And then 2021, we published another paper on Lambda. Lambda is what allows Georgia to interact with an assistant, with a machine, in a way where each other understand each other. And the third one, and is the most, of course, recent one, is Gemini. Gemini is the largest and most capable AI model. If you haven't tried it, please do it. So try Gemini, is really game-changing. I was interviewing a colleague that wrote a book last week, actually, and Gemini helped me identifying the right questions regarding the book and the person that I was interviewing, but it's really a tool that is supercharging your creativity and your productivity. But I don't want to talk again only about our product, but allow me this because I love it. So I would like to know who has not been saved in their life by Google Maps. So for those who are at home, no one raised his hands. Everyone has been saved by Google Maps. I've been saved by Google Maps. The only exception is Venice. If you go to Venice, it doesn't work, according to me, that well. But besides that, you can be lost in Venice. It's a pleasure. But Google Maps, besides being a pretty useful tool, I'm sure that you noticed that since 2021, there is a possibility you can choose to go eco-routing, so to choose the way that is the most environmental friendly. How is this possible? This is possible because of AI. Because of AI and the data about traffic, Google Maps can predict where the traffic will be, and this will allow you to go another route. Since 2021, this has saved 1.2 million metric tons of CO2 emission, which is 1,000, I don't know how many, but 1,000 of cars that have been, let's say, put out of the street. But, and here allow me a phrase that is very true in Italian, I think that you use it also here, nem tudo es un mar de rosas, not everything is roses and flower, because of course, and we heard about it, when people are laughing, but my Portuguese is improving, there are opportunities and there are risks. So we would be stupid not to focus on both areas. And the risks are important risks because AI can magnify risks that are already in our society, disinformation, for instance, and can create and amplify new biases, like new problems like bias, etc., etc. The good news is, so I really want to underline that these two elements, opportunities and risk, should be given the same weight. But the good news is that AI can also provide you, or provide us, actually, with a support on how to fight this risk. Again, I would like to give you an example regarding misinformation. We know about the problem of fake news. Most probably all of you have seen the Pope with I think it was a Moncler jacket at a certain point. It was clearly a fake news. But it's not always that easy to identify fake news and not to fall into the problem of disinformation, misinformation. These are two ways how AI can be useful. About this image, you find it on search. Basically, if you click on the image, you see it there. Search gives you all the information about that image when it's been uploaded, all the information about it, but it also gives you other images that are similar. This is using AI, so you can have more context and understand if you're reading fake news or if this is something you can rely to. And the other one is SynthID, that has been very recently created by Google Cloud. If you create a synthetic images, that synthetic image will have a watermark, and the machine will always read that synthetic watermark, and will identify that that image is synthetic. Doesn't mean that is a fake news, but is a synthetic, not real image. So it helps. It can be helpful. I'm not saying that you can solve everything with technology. I would never say that, and I agree that when we talk about democracy, etc., technology is a tool, but there are also important and interesting tools. But there is the responsibility of companies, and also we will see from the public sector, of really taking an ethical approach. In 2018, the CEO of Google, whose name is Sundar Pichai, created or asked to create the AI ethical principle. You will see our principle like the product needs to be socially beneficial, needs to incorporate privacy by design principle. Every product is tested with this principle in its development, and before being released is tested again against this principle. So it's a responsibility effort that the company are doing. But the point, and I think that it was very well put by the two speakers that spoke before, is that you cannot have only Google that is responsible, or only the public authorities that are doing their activities, their regulation. It's really important that public and private work together to identify indeed opportunities and to tackle risks. So we have published, and I strongly encourage you to read this paper. It's just released, that is called AI, an Opportunity Agenda for AI. What is this? It's an analysis of what AI could represent in terms of economic opportunities for Europe and then for countries, and some suggestion about what are the main pillars or the main route to follow. Data. I love data. Data, and then it doesn't work. Here. For Europe, generative AI can generate 1.2 trillion euros for the European economy, and this data is very important because I'm obsessed with productivity. Everyone in Europe should be obsessed about productivity because we know that our productivity is not the best. We can save 70 hours a year for the average worker. And for Portugal, generative AI can generate 15 billion euros for the Portuguese economy and save 80 hours per year for the average worker. So these are just some data regarding the opportunity that AI can bring. So what are the suggestions in order really to embrace, to catch this opportunity? The first one is investing in AI infrastructure and innovation. AI infrastructure will be obvious to you, but it's fundamental. And innovation is innovation of regulation. I mean, we really heard it. It's important to have one single market where the startup can innovate and can bring their product. It's important to have R&D. What have we done as Google in Portugal? Well, one of the biggest investment in terms of investment, there are 2 subsea cable. The first one is called Equiano and connects Portugal with Africa, and the second one is called Nuvem, Portugal and the USA, that are really the backbone for connectivity and therefore for the use of AI in Europe through Portugal. And the second one is $2 million to support AI research in Portugal in partnership with the Foundation for Technology and Science. But I would like to focus on the second pillar because to me is really the most important one, and not just in Portugal, also in Portugal, but in Europe in general. That is developing a workforce strategy. So, we heard them. We can have the tools that we need. And we can have these AI tools because we invent them, because we use them and they're coming from somewhere else. But if people are not able to use these tools within the small and medium companies or within also the big companies, we're not going to go very, very far. And this is going to have an impact on the GDP or on the growth of companies and therefore the economy and on productivity. But it's also important because there is another debate that passionates me that is about the future of work and AI. Well, I always recall a phrase that I heard that is, AI is not going to steal your job, but someone that knows how to use AI can steal it. Why? Because if you don't have the skills as a person or as a worker, someone that has the skills, of course, will do that. So skilling, digital skills are absolutely fundamental for companies, for workers, and for normal people that needs to use AI in order to have the same right and the same possibilities. So I would like to invite on stage my dear friend Rogério from APDC, because we have been working together for a very long time on skilling, and today we have something new to announce, but I leave it to you.
Well, yeah, but let me tell you, first of all, that we are very glad to have you here. And of course, the collaboration we have had with Google for the last several years is very important to us, in as much as qualifications is a very important aspect in our program.
Yeah.
So, and we have, as you know, been developing a program with Google, which is called Google Professional Certificates. And the idea is that APDC runs the attribution of these certificates through Coursera platform.
Yeah.
And we have started with 3,000 professional certificates, increased with another 6,000 professional certificates in subjects like UX, like IT support, but also cybersecurity, for example.
Yes.
And we think that has been a very successful program that we have had together.
And so today, we don't have
the drums.
the drums to do this, but today we are announcing that we take this professional certificate and we bring it to another level, providing indeed also professional certificate based on AI. So these are certificates that are addressed to workers that can take this certificate. Their name is, as you can see, Google AI Essentials. Why? Because they give you the essential in order to boost your productivity and to use AI in the company, your company, or in the company where you work. Is a 10 hours course, and it provides a certificate at the end that testify that you have taken the course. And we are pretty sure, we discuss it at length, that this can have an impact, of course, on productivity, but also, you know, on the debate of the future of work. Yeah. The point that we were also making before is that this is important, fundamental for workers and for companies, but also everyone, meaning also people that are not workers, need to have AI skills. Yeah. And so what we came, there is another idea, when we are together, we always came up with new ideas, so it's a little bit dangerous, but
it's like with AI.
Supercharged by AI, but our ideas.
But basically, the idea is to create another program for the general public, and it's called Impulso AI, IA in Portuguese.
Yeah.
And the idea is to have some sessions for, in the beginning, 1,000 people to our sessions in order to give an in-person introduction to AI instruments. And we are going to do this around the country in order to have sessions with groups of 100 people in order that it can have an introduction, a general introduction of what AI looks like and how can they use these instruments.
And all this both are on the website of APDC. So any other information that you want to have, well, of course, there are the QR codes, but I don't know whether you can get there with your phone. If you can't, is on the website, and I think it's definitely a great step forward.
Yeah, and thank you for the collaboration
and thanks
that we
a lot.
have had. Thank you.
And with that, thank you very much.
Thank you. This way.
Thank you.